Good evening. I, Fred Hashimoto, Mayor of Corrales, would like to call this special meeting of the governing body to order. It is May 19th, 2026. Will you please turn off your cells or put them on vibrate and stand first for a minute of silence for Councilor Alsabrook, please. Thank you. Councilor Alsabrook was a very valued member of the governing body, and we're all very sorry that he's no longer with us. So thank you very much. Could you follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Councilor Miera.
Here.
Councilor Waldman.
Here.
Councilor Knight.
Here.
Councilor Burkett.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
And Councilor Alsabrook, the seat is vacant. Approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. New business. Number 1, consideration, action, and approval of liquor license application for Gale Road LLC at 3650 Corrales Road. Mr. Hobbs, would you like to speak a little bit?
This is my first time doing this, so not sure what to talk about. I'm battling a head cold and a 24-hour fast here, so I'm a little shaky on my feet. We have gone through the state process for just beer and wine license with our little restaurant on the corner of Meadowlark, East Meadowlark and Corrales Road. And we respectfully request.
And one thing before we get started, I was remiss. We do need to swear witnesses because this is a quasi judicial process that could be appealed from. So we do need to swear.
Okay. Mandy, would you like to swear in Mr. Hobbs, please?
So you just have them raise your right hand.
Raise your right hand.
And do you swear or
Tell the truth
affirm?
and the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
There you go.
I do.
Look at that.
Thank you.
You're a natural.
And then just give us your name and address again for the record.
It's 222 Andrews Lane. That's my residence, Corrales, New Mexico. As I was saying, we just respectfully request that we're allowed to do business, to include a beer and wine license in our commercial property on the corner. I know there's some opposition to this, and I suppose we're going to hear that tonight. I hope I have a chance to rebut afterwards. Will I?
Yes.
At the end? Okay. Any questions from the counselors?
Yes, please.
Councilor Murray?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the drawing that we have received, is that the drawing that was submitted to the state application license for the alcohol?
I believe so, yes. I reviewed that when I got sent the email, yeah.
Okay, so that we're only considering the drawing that we have in our packet.
Correct, yes.
Okay, very good. Also, my other question is, where's the public bathrooms in this facility? Are you taking over the entire building?
No, just a very small part of it, but the restrooms are adjacent. On that drawing, there's a patio there. And you'll see the wall kind of on the northwest side. They're right on the other side of that wall. There's a doorway from the patio that leads directly to them.
Does anybody else have access from the public? I mean, does the public have access to the patio from that door?
Yes, we have 6 or 7 other tenants in the building.
Okay, and so they can come into the patio area without any problem?
Sure, if they wish. Yeah, I can tell you that.
But I think one of the issues that we have is what they call on the patio is controlled access.
Yes,
How do you provide controlled access if the public can come in through that one door?
through a closed door, there would be no access. There would be no liquor inside the building.
That's not the point. It's called controlled access. It means having control of that area so people can't come into the patio area and consume alcohol that maybe they were not a customer. Is that a fair question?
Counselor, I think that it's a fair question to say how they control access, but essentially what this is, then they have 2 access doors. So the question would be, how do you control who gets served alcohol so that you're controlling their access to alcohol, making sure they're proper age and you're not over serving and so forth?
Oh, we've been through the training on that. We will not serve. We have to ID by law. I'm not about to risk any of our business.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
If somebody were to come in from the other building access through the bathroom and they sat down and ordered alcohol and then took it back out?
No, that wouldn't happen.
How do you know that customer was there to be served by you in terms of food or alcohol?
Because we would be serving them.
Well, but how do you control then with that area without them leaving with the alcohol?
I mean, I understand the question, but that could be said for any entrance in or out of the property.
Okay. So also on the gate, it says, I think I got to blow this up because it's one of those things where we get this drawing that's way outside things. It says here, operable without spatial knowledge. Does that mean it's open all the time? Anybody can come in through that area?
No, it would probably just be an exit only gate. But I mean, like I said, it would not be locked for fire code. We would have to have gates and doorways that would be accessible in and out. But we're going to, I own the place. I'm going to work there. I'm going to keep very strict tabs. We had to go through the servers training course and all that. And I take it all very seriously.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. What are your hours?
Well, right now we're hoping for our hours to be 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay. Thank you.
Counselor Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. Welcome.
Thank you.
There was a restaurant there previously.
Yeah, there's a little deli. Yeah.
You were involved with that as well?
No, I was not. I only leased it to the people who
So-
Rio Rancho.
So you own the building?
I own the building.
So what happened there?
They originally came in, they had a liquor license in Sandoval County. They were going to bring beer and wine in, and that's why we got the initial approval for that with our site development plan, but they never actually followed through with it.
Yeah.
I think their business was gangbusters at first. And this is a subjective opinion. I think they were too busy. They had 3 other restaurants around, and ours was the smallest. And I spoke with James, the owner, and when his lease was up, he followed it through and actually left a month early and said they just couldn't make it because they were too busy.
Yeah. There was a concern, as I recall, when that came before us, as to whether or not what kind of traffic would be in and out of that location. the New Mexico Department of Transportation has banned any access to that property other than from East Meadowlark.
Right.
It's not obviously not enforced.
Right.
One of the concerns at the time was for food trucks coming in, large Cisco or whomever that might be coming in for make deliveries.
Right.
How will you handle that for the kitchen?
I don't plan on ordering from Cisco.
One sec, just, Counselor Waltman, just to clarify, so this isn't a site plan review along with the liquor license application?
Just the liquor.
We're only focusing on the state's approval and then our role as the local authority in reviewing that liquor license. So
Got it.
those questions about access and so forth, and the way that the site plan is set up would be for that review process.
Got it.
But
I don't mind answering.
no, you may, but
Yeah.
I just,
Appreciate it. Yeah.
it's mixing a little bit apples. and
I
oranges.
understand, and if
Yep.
we don't want to do that, that's something. I wouldn't have it. I don't want them coming down. I live on the road just around the corner, and when the garbage truck comes every Thursday, I have to wait behind it all the time. So, it gets frustrating. I know there was a photograph of a Shamrock truck that was parked off next door to my dumpster. And I understand that's probably unsightly, but it wasn't impeding anybody's traffic. Yard maintenance people park on the shoulder of the road all the time. People have parties and they park on the shoulder of the road all the time. I'm not saying that, it's optimal, but it does happen. I do not plan on ordering our stuff from these people because I plan on making everything myself. And I don't like a lot of processed stuff, not to be snobby or anything, but if we do have deliveries, I will make sure and instruct them to come along Corrales Road. And you might notice I built my fence out there, that low fence, and I made it with openings so people could come in through there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? Councilor Mira?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't have one until we had our attorney speak forward. You said we're only allowed to ask those questions. What could you surround us as to exactly what questions we are allowed to ask then? Or i.e., an example thereof.
Well, when you went into discussions, I was going to remind everybody anyway, kind of what our local role is under state law. It's a little bit of a frustrating process for you and the public because what state law essentially does is it says we have the authority to establish at the very beginning whether or not we want to be a local option district and serve alcohol. Once we've made that vote, then the primary control over alcohol sales is the state. We can not regulate any of the particulars of how alcohol is sold as long as they're in compliance with state law. We can make sure they're zoned properly. We obviously wouldn't allow a beer and wine license if it was in a residential area. So we can check zoning. And then remember the cases we've had in the past where there's issues with churches and schools. We can regulate whether they're too close to a church or school. We had an interesting one, the last one I think we had, which was a year or two ago. And it was the one where there was a clear distance between the school and the business, and it was intersected by an arroyo or a ditch that didn't allow passage through, but the state law just says it's still too close. So you can look at those issues, but as long as we don't have any specific evidence that this applicant or this location would be substantially dangerous, we'd have to have substantial actual evidence of a danger created by this liquor license. In other words, if you had a situation where this applicant had previously had 4 liquor establishments and they all got closed down by the state, I don't know why the state would approve another, but if they did, that would be evidence that we could use to say, not this applicant. Or if the applicant had a criminal record that we knew about in Corrales, that may be evidence to say this applicant isn't right for this. So that's the kind of thing we could look at to deny it. We cannot look at whether it's a good idea That is off our plate. The state has, we've said, you may serve liquor in the community. And as long as they're in compliance with that state law and our zoning, we can't decide whether it's a good idea or not, in our opinion. It's just not a subjective opinion one way or the other. It has to be objective evidence that it would not be appropriate. This applicant wouldn't be appropriate, or that location wouldn't be.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The only follow-up I would have to that then would be you referred back time or two to zoning. So we are assuming that the zoning did their work with regards to whatever map they gave them, and they're following through with that same map come to today's hearing, that we're not to deal with that. That's zoning dealing with whether or not the same map that they used for giving them the first time is the same map that we're dealing with today. That's an appropriate or an inappropriate question.
So the applicant had stated that the map that's in the packet that he submitted was the one that he submitted to the state. So we have the map that the state approved, and it's basically a serving map. It's showing the controlled location of alcohol service. And that's what's in front of us today. It's not a site plan like we'll get if there's an appeal to us from a site plan approval or denial from P&Z when they come in with that. If they're using the same site plan that they used previously, we'd have to ask Lori whether there would even be need for another review. I don't know.
Okay.
And that property has been zoned commercial for quite some time.
Councilor
The
Murray.
commercial part I'm
Yeah.
familiar with. It was just that the actual site plan that we have dealing with two identical site plans. Thank you.
So let me ask this, Randy. So are the liquor control regulations, are they treated as law as well to state law?
You mean the rules and regulations of the state liquor?
Well, if the
division?
liquor control agency creates these regulations of which
Yes.
vehicles, the buildings are, businesses are supposed to operate under, is that treated the same as state law then?
Yes, it is. The applicant, anybody with a liquor license, has to follow state statutes and state liquor regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Waldman.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a question of sequence. The site development plan, the going before planning and zoning, has that occurred as yet?
Yes, it has. I think it was April 15th. We did that. It was a completely separate issue. The map that I had sent to the Santa Fe, the alcohol beverage, whatever, PBC, was just a map that was taken off of that. You can see my handwriting on there because they kept asking me different questions like, what are your crossroads and all these kinds of things. And they were very particular about this stuff. And they wanted the square footage, and they said they couldn't see it because it was too small, so I had to actually write it out.
Right.
But that was taken from the site development plan. And then when there were some issues around moving some of the shipping containers that I had on there, and a couple of other things, patio and stuff like that, a whole new, it wasn't a complete site of development plan that went before the commission, the planning and zoning commission. It was an amendment. And I think Lori Stout is on the.
They had an approved site development plan from a couple of years ago. I don't know if council remembers, it was appealed. Council upheld the site development plan. So that site development plan is still active. What is the appeal that will be before you in 2 weeks has to do with just changing a few little things that have nothing to do with where the alcohol itself will be, because he had already planned on serving alcohol when they did that original site development plan. So that was approved years ago. So that amended site development plan really isn't relevant to the liquor license hearing tonight.
So do we know whether or not the serving of alcohol was discussed in the most recent planning and zoning approval?
Yeah.
Melanie, I can answer that if you'd like.
Yeah, please.
Okay, counselors, mayor, administrator,
The Planning and Zoning Commission understands that they are not the approval body for service of alcohol. But if someone doing an original site development plan, or in this case, an amended site development plan, has the desire to serve alcohol, that is stated and known in the open meeting. The Planning and Zoning Commission just can't approve it. They just acknowledge that it is a permissive use in the C zone, but it is subject to approval by the governing body. And that's what we talked about.
Mayor, I'd like to have a discussion after we make a decision on this, if I could. After this hearing is completed on the alcohol license question.
Sure. Counselor Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. So this meeting is only to say, we got the information from the state. That's all we're talking about here. It's not about the site plan or anything else. That'll come up later, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I do have a question. It's a village ordinance question. I think you would like to serve alcohol in the building and in a patio.
Yes.
And currently, Corrales doesn't have an ordinance that allows alcohol to be served or bought outside. How do we resolve that? What do we do?
Well, normally with any type of review of uses, it would depend on whether the use is contemplated as accessory to or part of the primary use. So like this use, a restaurant and bar is an allowed use within the village. So you would say, yes, this is allowed. And if they would meet normal conditions for serving on a patio for us, under site plan review, then alcohol wouldn't change that. It's not within our village purview to say you can't serve alcohol there, since and I would even have to research to determine if we could regulate patio sales of alcohol under state law, because typically state law would say we can't regulate that. It's up to them to determine what their envelope of liquor service is going to be.
This came up just a couple of months ago. I don't remember if it was an actual liquor license hearing, but the last 3 liquor licenses this body approved all had outdoor sales, and it was approved by the governing body. So even though our ordinance does say you can't serve alcohol outdoors, it is an outdated section of our ordinance that was done back in the either 80s or 90s. Yeah. And state law does allow it. So it wouldn't have even gotten to us if it wasn't okay at the state level, if it was on his application. So it is something that we need to update in our ordinances, but it's my understanding that state law trumps our ordinance in this case.
Councilor Knight?
Thank you. It would just seem to me that whatever the restaurant is, whether it's inside or outside, it's under the umbrella of the restaurant. It's not separate.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions for the council right now? If not, we can open this for public input. How many people would like to speak, Mandy?
7.
And they can all be sworn at once.
So do they all stand up or? So Rudy Mieta, Deborah De La Torre. Marianne Mieta. Sarah, are you gonna speak? No. Salome Ward, Sabine Shooter, Pat McKernan, Mary Poliak, Teresa Lopez. Did I miss anybody? Sabine?
So have them all raise their right hand.
Do you all swear to tell the truth? Whole truth, nothing but the truth? Yeah.
Thank you. Who's first? Mandy?
I like it.
I didn't know if Sarah, you don't, okay. Okay, I would. Rudy Mieta. It's our first one.
Respected Mayor, respected council members, first of all, I'd like to offer my condolences. We have lost a a fellow leader, a steward of our village. And to me, actually, I was privileged to have a few conversations with him, but he was a personal model of stewardship from whom I would hope to aspire to be someday.
Rudy, would you give your name and address for the record, please?
Okay, the name is Rudy J. Miera, 116 East Meadowlark.
Thank you.
You know, in the end, it comes down to empathy. It's all about the golden rule. It really is. You know, if you think back 50 years ago, there was a group of farmers, ranchers, people who ran horses, who had gardens, and they had a vision, and they had courage, and they had love of their village. And we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. It was they who instituted the form of governance that we have in the village of Corrales. And I think what they were doing was following their vision that they would hope that one day their grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren, and their great-great-great-grandchildren would be able to enjoy this village the way they did, that they would be able to have the stars still available for viewing because it was dark skies, that they would still be able to hear the crickets sing at night, and there would still be the quiet place where people could go to bed early if they wanted to. You know, about 3 days ago, Sunday, I was over at the old San Isidro Church where we were in the middle of Mass, and right before the consecration, a motorcycle showed up. I could tell because I could hear it. It was I guess I would call it a distraction, not an interruption, but it was only one motorcycle, but it could be heard. And I got to thinking, you know, what happens if there comes a time where there's a dozen motorcycles or 24 motorcycles? And the reason I bring that up is because I am under oath. I cannot lie to the village, but I have seen on several occasions motorcycle groups coming through the village. Okay. So I don't think we want to end up like another small community in the state of New Mexico did on May 28th, 2023, 3 years ago, where there was a tragedy of 3 people killed and 6 people injured. And I'm not against motorcycles, okay? But when people gather in groups and they go to certain locations, and let's face it, Red River is just a mountain resort, a calm place. And I know that Mayor Linda Calhoun never thought it would happen to them, and we have to be careful about saying it can never happen here. Because, in fact, the reason that those visionaries that had the courage to institute a governing body that institutes, establishes, and has ordinances for the safety of us all and for the quality of life, that doesn't get violated because what I would call a critical mass of bars and restaurants that we have in the downtown area, no different than Red River. And just to think that it couldn't happen here. In fact, one of the 6 men killed was a guy from Albuquerque. He was one of the banditos. There was the river rats and but I had 3 minutes.
Do they not have 3 minutes? They do have 3 minutes.
There's 7 of us. That's only going to take 21 minutes.
Well, what we have is it's a different process because it is a quasi judicial hearing, and each of you is speaking. Some of you may speak in support of it if you wish, but you should, if anybody is, then you should speak with the applicant. And then if you're opposing it, you're opposing parties, and the mayor and then the governing body can weigh in about how much time each of you get. But because there's 7 of you, you need to share your time. The presentation of the applicant was about 10 or 15 minutes. And if you guys share that time, that's appropriate. So if you want to take a minute, figure out how you want to share the time, then that would be fine.
How about if I just say one more sentence? And to wrap up, I would just like to say, I would implore the council to have the empathy and to keep it in mind that whatever you decide this evening is the setting of a precedent. And in the end, what we're looking at is how we treat each other as vecinos and what we're going to hold on to. And please keep it in mind that my backyard, our backyard is ultimately your front yard. Thank you.
So given what the attorney said, why don't we have 2 minute input from each member of the public. So next, Mandy.
Mayor, point of order.
Yes.
Since we didn't stipulate this at the beginning of the meeting, let's stick to original format of 3 minutes, if you would, please. It seems to me that that's only reasonable because the people had a certain expectation when it came to speak. I would just say 3 minutes is a reasonable time.
I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, I think we're going to hear a lot of similar stuff, but I think they came in with 3 minutes, and I think we need to probably on the agenda for meetings like this clearly stipulate that in the future, just so people come in with a fair expectation.
Right. I mean, that's fine by me. It's just resisting.
And if it would be more useful for everyone if you guys try to just state, I agree with the speaker ahead of me, and then say whatever new you wish. You know, we get it. So.
Next, Mandy.
Deborah De La Torre.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Deborah De La Torre. I live at 28 East Meadowlark, which is directly across from the proposed liquor license.
Thank you.
As there are already significant problems with the procedural process, with an appeal ongoing after the liquor license hearing is premature. There is a pending appeal of the P&Z recent approval of SDP 2603 for Gale Road Pub that will be heard on June 2nd. Before rubber stamping the approval for such a significant change to our neighborhood, a full and complete review should be undertaken. Adding a liquor license to an already problematic situation would be devastating to our neighborhood. A restaurant and pub with evening hours does not belong on a residential street like Meadowlark Lane and is detrimental to the health, safety, and quality of life of the surrounding residents. On the west side of Corrales Road is Frontier Mark and the gas station, which both sell alcohol to be consumed off property. These businesses are across the road and they do not affect us. We work hard to build our homes and our lives in Corrales. We did not purchase homes in an entertainment district. We were here first. The previous businesses, a child daycare and later an adult daycare, generated minimal traffic and were compatible with the neighborhood. A restaurant and bar are entirely different, turning Meadowlark Lane into a commercial corridor for restaurant traffic, food deliveries, beverage trucks, beer trucks are 18-wheelers, and late night activity is unsafe and it's inappropriate for a residential road. If Mr. Hobb wants to operate a restaurant and pub, it should be located on property with proper commercial access directly from Corrales Road, not by forcing a residential neighborhood to absorb the impacts and turn a residential road into a commercial corridor. I recommend that you do a site visit to see just how hard it is now to make a left turn going south onto Corrales Road from Meadowlark Lane. A restaurant and pub will greatly exacerbate an already dangerous situation. Please come across the street to my home to experience all the noise that I hear from Mr. Hobb's property, as sound travels here very well. When the deli was open, I could hear the dishes clanking in the kitchen. The parking lot was noisy with patrons gathering and talking and doors opening and slamming. I called the police department no less than 3 times to report overflow parking in front of my property and onto the road. Adding alcohol would be a nightmare. The neighboring residents have consistently opposed a restaurant at this location, yet our concerns continue to be overlooked. Who protects the residents and our rights? Why should one individual get what he wants while the surrounding neighborhood suffers the consequences? Please stand up for us and deny the liquor license. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, Mandy.
Mary.
I'll be very brief. First of
Can
all,
you please state your name and address for the record?
I'm Mary Ann Mieta, 116 East Meadowlark Lane. We wish no bad, lack of success for Mr. Hobbs. He purchased land. He wants to make money. He's a businessman. We respect that. I respect that. I grew up in a business. My concern is that we are a residential street. My family's been on this street since the late 70s, and my family worked very, very hard on the west side of Albuquerque to be able to move to Corrales. In fact, we lived in Corrales. We lived in the house on Meadowlark and Corrales Road, and we had to move because we couldn't afford to live here. And then we came back. So I hold my residential street very dear to my heart and very dear to the hard work of my parents. Mr. Hobbs, I know, is a very hard worker, and I'm just asking that I, as a resident of Corrales, I, as a resident of East Meadowlark Lane, can be afforded the respect I feel I have. I do not want a liquor license on my residential street. I do not want a liquor license on my residential street. Thank you.
Next, Mandy.
Salome Ward.
Salome Ward, 204 East Meadowlark Lane. Hi, everyone. First of all, really quickly, after sitting here, I just want to mention that some of the situation is so frustrating, and the editorializing coming from the administrator, I'm sorry, to say whether or not an issue is big or important that's coming up under appeal, those kind of comments shouldn't happen because they're very important to the people that are here and have to live right next to the property. There are a lot of inconsistencies here. I did send a last minute email to all of you. It's frustrating when the site development plan is a different diagram than the one that's submitted to the ABC division. And it's like, what do you do as a resident that's not getting, like when there's not a full comprehensive picture of everything that is happening? It is music, alcohol, parking issues, noise issues in a, again, neighborhood commercial zone. It's not just a commercial zone, neighborhood commercial zone. So all of that, it should be a whole picture because we already are having increased incidents with, the police can probably write it in their report about all the people being pulled over for driving under the influence, all the noise complaints, the lighting complaints, parking complaints. At what point is the village able to control these issues? A quick question, does a village have the right to legislate or limit the number of bars on one road? And so maybe that's something that the attorney will be able to answer. And will there be enforcement of noise, light, and parking ordinances? I like beer and wine. I like wine a little bit more than beer. So I want businesses to succeed, but I want them to be good neighbors. And there are a lot of questions here. And especially that is probably the most dangerous intersection on Corrales Road. That is a very sharp turn. Visibility is difficult. And adding a third alcohol establishment, right there, I know we can't question whether or not a license is smart or not, but I would like to think the village can control certain things and ensure the safety and the well-being and the quality of life for the residents. Yeah, that's it for now. Thanks.
Next, Mandy.
Sabine Schroeder.
Good evening. My name is Sabine Schurter, 47 Rincon Road. I just want to give a few points. First of all, I am concerned about the timing of this liquor license hearing. It should have been done after a completed, approved, permitted site development plan. This is off, and the questions of the councillors in the beginning of the session showed they were confused as well, I think. I'm also very dismayed to hear that yet another village ordinance is being ignored. I mean, how many outdated ordinances do we have that are just ignored, and villagers that move here rely on the ordinances? And then all of a sudden, sorry, these ordinances are outdated. They will go away. So then why is the plat presented to the Alcohol Beverage Control Division different from the plat presented to B&Z? What is the purpose of that? Why can't these plats be the same? And as we have to deal with more and more liquor establishments, I would really like to ask, no, I would like to demand for regular sobriety checks in Corrales as it used to be. I mean, we have a real problem here, and all I hear from police officers is like, oh, the bar manager will tell me if a drunk person leaves the establishment. That is nonsense, because they open themselves up to liability. So don't fool us like this, please. Please respect the residents. Thank you.
Next, Mandy.
Pat McClernand.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilors. Pat McClernand, Box 2012, Corrales. I think tonight that the confusion we have is between the state law and our zoning laws. Salome alluded to a different drawing submitted to the two different bodies. The drawing that was submitted to the liquor control shows 24 seats on the interior of the dining room and additional seats outside. The drawing that was submitted to planning and zoning has a bar and two foretops on the interior. And the question goes back to the liquor license, which is not allowed in a sandwich shop and a salad. It requires a full service liquor. And that's what's under appeal. And so that's why we keep getting this question between the two different submittals. Under New Mexico law, a liquor license should not be approved for a use that may ultimately conflict with local zoning ordinances. If the appeal results in changes or reversal of the zoning approval, the village may find itself having approved the license for a project that does not have lawful land use authorization. It's also a matter of procedural fairness and public trust. Residents deserve confidence that the council will consider the zoning appeal impartially based solely on the evidence presented during that process. At a minimum, the application should be deferred and a request for an extension until all zoning approvals and the appeal process before council has concluded. You have the letter of notification was April 6th, so we're on the 43rd day. You have 2 days to ask for an extension until after the zoning hearing is concluded on June 2nd. Thank you.
Next, Mandy.
Mary Boliak.
Hi, my name is Mary Boliak. I live on Priestley Road. And I just want to agree with the previous speakers and add really quickly, just a quick question I'm probably you've already answered. Will packaged liquor be sold? And okay. And is there any separation from the drinking area consuming of alcohol and the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
By law, there has to be.
Right, that's what I wondered. And does the state require liquor license wise any limit on how many liquor license can be issued within a certain radius or community or area? Do they ever limit how many licenses can be issued in a certain community? Do you know that? There is a limit? No.
Generally speaking, it's not regulated by the state. I will, if council and mayor direct me to, I will look in to see if we have any flexibility as to maximum limits that we could place. It's not something that's typically or usually done, so I'm not familiar with such limits being placed. There are limits on other types of uses, but it's very rare because it's already considered a permissive use. You know, for example, the application is for just about the lowest level or lowest type of liquor license there is, which is beer and wine in a restaurant. And we, of course, all homes in a community can serve liquor and all types. And so there's just this assumption that if we allow liquor sales within the community, that it's not a harm in and of itself. it's like anything else. Certainly people can abuse it. And if they drive when they've been drinking, it's a real problem, but it's not in and of itself a problem. It's allowed.
Thank you. And I would just add that, agreeing with our last speaker, that there seems to be enough questions along this specific application that it causes us to want to pause and just review, make sure all the ducks are in a row, that all the boxes are checked, because the consequences are great for the neighborhoods. I can verify that from living in this mixed use area. It's really important to take time. So thank you, council. Thank you, mayor. Thank you, legal.
Teresa Lopez.
Teresa Lopez Corrales.
No, time's up.
Oh,
Just kidding.
oops. Yeah, so much for that one. Everybody's always already said everything that I had in my head, except that places, starting with what Rudy said about Corrales. I mean, I've been here all my life. My family's been here all forever. And Tijuana Bar is still the only place in the village that has had a liquor license and still runs itself the same way. There's no lights on that place. There's no noise except the quietness, the darkness, where everywhere around him, around John Perea, is loud and boisterous and everything. And I also remember, I remember at some point at the last meeting, somebody said that it was a pretty dangerous corner there on Metal Arc. And I agree with that also. So why are we going to make it more dangerous with more liquor? And again, I'm going to reiterate about the speed traps. They were always happening, and they should be happening again, because everything that comes out in the crime and safety, it's people out of town. So Corrales is being known for the place to be. And again, I don't remember it being that way. And the reason that you all moved here was because of the quietness, the ruralness. Like I said, the first time that I spoke, everything was different than what it's changing to now. And I don't like it. I don't want it to be that way. And I know things have got to change. They do. They have to change. They're going to change. And again, honesty, transparency, and respect for the whole village, for all of us that live in this village, it would be really good. And thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
I guess we should open this for discussion, but we need a motion first on this item.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
I understand. I heard a lot of impassioned pleas here from neighbors. And I understand. I live on the same road. I live less than a quarter of a mile from where the site is. I don't like the intersection any better than anyone else. I cuss when I sit there, and the endless trains come from south to north and north to south. It's just part of the situation in Corrales. The packaged liquor across the street strikes me as unusual that it's not a problem, because I can remember not that long ago picking up a whole bunch of empty bottles on Metal Arc Road. And as a matter of fact, one of the neighbors on Metal Arc Road who supports this took a bunch of those bottles and made a little man and put it on the road. There are beer cans on the ditch at the end of the road. I know because I drive by them all the time. So packaged liquor is also a problem. But I'm glad that they brought up the fact that there are two packaged liquors across the street from us, less than 50 feet from my doors, because they are there and they're allowed to conduct business. They're in the commercial zone, as am I. The characterization of our business before it even gets a chance to open up is unfortunate, because I've tried to convince everybody that we are not an ex novo. We're not a Sandia bar. I like to think of it as the alternative to that. And we, because I'm 63 years old, I'm looking at retirement, and this is how I want to spend my retirement years, is making a nice place where people can go be quiet. I'm not gonna have motorcycle gangs coming in and out of my place. And I do know that they drive up and down Corrales Road. I hear them all the time. The noise from the traffic on Corrales Road drowns out just about anything you're gonna hear in my parking lot. I can guarantee you that. The trucks pulling in and out of the gas station, people with their cars and their doors open playing rap music at unbelievable volumes. It's a noisy place. I'm not criticizing. I'm just stating the way it is. The lights at the gas station are bright. The lights at Frontier Market are bright. The lights of the cars going up and down Corrales Road are extraordinarily bright. So to try to characterize my building as something that is going to somehow exacerbate that, I think is unfortunate. And I would call on Rudy's call for empathy. That, quite frankly, I don't want that. And I wish that he would see it and take me at my word for that. But I have so many things that I want to talk about. Let me address the drawing situation on the site development plan and how it's different. When I applied for the liquor license back in January, that site development plan, which was approved, had that drawing. That's exactly where I took them from. When we were called by Lori Stout from Planning and Zoning to revise it, it was an amendment or something. Lori can probably clarify this. It wasn't a whole site development plan. There were a couple things that we wanted to change. And as a result of that, I removed the table and put a long bar inside. It reduced the number of seats inside because it was just a little bit too crowded in there, to be quite honest with you. So that's to clarify that. It's not to pull a fast one or to, do any monkey business with this. It was just a matter of timing. And if you need me to revise anything, I'm happy to do that. But I think that you all have seen this and it should be clear to you. Going back to the opposition to this and, going back to your discussion on what this meeting is about and what this council is about is opposition or stating that it's a bad idea is not evidence. There has to be evidence. I've done nothing wrong. I don't have a criminal record. I'm a 12-year veteran. I'm a business owner. I've owned a lot of different businesses, and this is the one that I want to retire on. I want it to be quiet. I know people enjoy a beer, a pint, or a glass of wine. I'm not turning this into a beer garden. It's not going to be a loud, boisterous place that's going to cause all kinds of problems for the neighborhood because I live there. And I'm happy to accommodate as much as I can. I think at the last appeal to the site development plan a couple of years ago, you can see how much I will bend over backwards. Honestly, if it wasn't for my fence that I built up at Deborah De La Torre's request, she'd be staring at the lights of the gas station. Nobody parks there after dark. Nobody parks there before dawn. So lights are not coming in the house. I see floodlights on these houses blaring on my cameras into my property from houses that every time the wind blows, I see floodlights blaring. So it's just, I want to bring these things up because it just strikes me as I'm being attacked for doing something that I haven't even done yet. And I feel really bad about it from the neighbors that are claiming that they want to be good neighbors and they want me to be a good neighbor. And I'm going to stop rambling now because I just want to appeal to you as a commission and through the village attorney's words that we stay focused on this, and that's it. I appreciate you guys hearing me. Oh,
Councilor Murray.
Thank you, Mayor. So let's address something then that the state requires for your liquor license approval. It is that you have sales of food of 60% of your business. The site development plan, which we probably are not going to get into, but I'm looking at the kitchen and it doesn't look too extensive. Of course, it's probably a simple drawing. The site plan that you sent to P&Z, is that a full kitchen?
Yes, it is.
And you're going to serve more than just sandwiches and hamburgers?
We don't serve any fried foods, no.
Okay.
We serve pizza, we serve meatloaf sandwich, we serve an asparagus sandwich, we serve an Italian sub, several different kinds.
You would be
of
considered a full service restaurant?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, could I ask for a point of clarification from Lori? So Lori, could you let us know when the original site development plan was approved? There was already a restaurant approved. Did he, when he changed from the deli to this pizzeria, did that require a new site development plan?
No, the reason we did the amended site development plan is because of the Connex containers that were on the site that are for storage, and the applicant can confirm that. And because we saw a couple of gazebos, and it looked to me like the exterior seating was changing. So we asked him to do an amended site development plan. The restaurant is still a restaurant. The hours are different. It's now a pizzeria, lunch, dinner instead of breakfast, lunch, but that was an approved use already.
Thank you.
Councilor Waldman?
Thank you, Mayor. I was wondering if anybody has, perhaps Laurie has the details of what the June 2nd hearing might be about, what the appeal, what the issues are, and what we can expect out of that. That's what, 2 weeks away. Laurie, can you give us some insight on?
I might have to defer to Administrator Romero. I did see that there was an appeal, and the appeal will need to focus on what happened in the amended site development plan, which is the connexes and the gazebos, or gazebo, I should say, because the other issues were already adjudicated. But I can't really tell you what the appellants, what their argument was.
Yeah, P&Z doesn't handle the scheduling of the appeal. That's the clerk's office. But if I'm remembering correctly, I'd have to pull up the actual letter. But they did cite the change in hours of the restaurant as being part of the reason that they wanted this appeal, and the idea that this type of establishment doesn't fit in with the character of the neighborhood. There is something in our ordinances that does state that a site development plan should follow historic uses and traditional use of properties. So
in other words, in terms of the change of hours, the previous Bell's Deli was open until what time?
I believe they were 9 to 5, but they started out being open till 5, and then on some evenings they were even open later.
They were.
Yeah. They did some things on the patio. They did burgers on the patio, steak on the patio. I wouldn't have it, but that was pretty short-lived. Nobody really wanted it. Okay.
Yeah, but the amended site development plan was just to get approval for his Connex boxes and the outdoor seating. So that was requested by planning and zoning because of these things. Mr. Hobbs didn't realize he needed to do an amended site development plan, and when he was made aware of it, he came in and rectified that. So that it really, the use of the property, as Laurie stated, was already previously approved, appealed, and upheld a couple of years ago.
And as I understand it, there was a liquor license issued for that, a beer and wine.
Well,
It was never issued.
They had in Sandoval County up in Rio Rancho. They just were going to seek approval from this commission to bring one down.
And they never followed through.
And they never followed through.
Okay. Up on 528.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lily and Lee.
Yeah, right.
Councilor Knight?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I'm just confused because I'm seeing this on the agenda, the schematic of what the restaurant's going to look like. And then I get something in my mail that says, no, it's going to look like this, from somebody that isn't even, it's not you. So I'm like, where did these things pop up from? And why are people like sending things that aren't true? I mean, everybody here that spoke had to put their right hand up and say, I'm telling the truth, but something's not right, because if what I'm seeing here is what you put to the state, why am I getting emails that have other things on it from other people?
Just to clarify for this legal issue, we are in a quasi-judicial hearing. You as a counselor should only consider matters that have been brought before the entire council, the governing body, tonight. That's what's in the record and would go up on appeal. People should not submit things to you prior to these hearings. If they want to submit them, they should submit them to the clerk at the meeting and ask that they be made part of the record. So this is an on-record case, and what you consider needs to be only those matters that were brought to you here.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification, because it's confusing when you're getting things that, this is what happened, and it's like, no, this is what happened, and it's like, well, again, everybody puts their right hand up and says, I'm telling the truth, so I just need some clarification about if I'm supposed to be looking at this one or the one that I got sent. And so, again, we need to, talk about empathy. How about, let's talk about what we're supposed to be doing here at these meetings. And again, it's only about the liquor license. It's not about how the restaurant's going to look. And again, let's say it's a restaurant. Sometimes I hear people like, it's a bar. They're just selling alcohol. It's a restaurant, and a restaurant can have, obviously beer and wine. So, the vocabulary people are using too can be very hurtful if they're not saying the right things.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Councilor Muir,
I think that most of you were present for the appeal on the original site development plan. Do you recall that?
No.
You know, it wasn't you.
Yeah.
No, but I know that you were here. You guys were all here on the appeal. We came before this commission before. And, I don't want to throw dirty laundry out there, but you brought up something.
Sir, we actually, your portion of the hearing to make comments was closed.
Oh.
And they've gone into discussions.
Okay.
So we should stop now unless they reopen it. So, because the public, your portion of the case and the public's portion is.
I understand.
Thank you.
Okay, well, shut up then.
so can we have a motion on this matter?
Actually,
Councilor Muir.
I want to speak. We can no longer speak?
You can speak, but.
Yeah, that's what I thought he could speak.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, thank you. And I'm gonna follow your guidelines there. Speak only about something that's been spoken by both parties and it's been brought up tonight. And one of those is the site plan that's been brought up over and over again on June the 2nd. So whatever we do here tonight, that will be brought up however it comes out of here with a yes or no vote. And then we're going to be taking a look at the site plan at that time with a different issue. I'm just wondering how in one's mind, if you said yes tonight, are we compelled to do something on the 2nd? That's not a question with an answer, and it's not a rhetorical question. So if we do something now, that what purposes or what issues that put was with the site plan? There was talk of a parking lot, and in a couple of weeks, we're also going to be taking a look at parking issues up and down that street and many other streets, all the streets in Corrales. So I don't know how that's going to have an effect on this particular issue here for the issue that we're talking about tonight. I don't know what that parking lot's going to look like. Parking lot, not the parking lot, but how do we control parking? We've already had some issues that have been brought up tonight, so I won't bring them up about DOT. But the Corrales themselves have some issues with regards to how long we can invoke some parking lot in front of somebody's home or whatever. We haven't established that yet. And yet this happens to these individuals who live on this particular street. So I'm wondering if my first note to myself is the timing seems really off in terms of we doing this hearing now. And then on June 2nd, we're going to relook at it again through a different lens. And whether or not the timing on this particular issue is appropriate, because it kind of sways it one way or sways it the other.
Councilor, councilors, mayor. So The important thing to keep in mind is what you're reviewing tonight is a beer and wine license. How the chairs and tables and the makeup of the patio and the dining area are altered by the site plan amendments has no effect on the liquor license. They're going to be able to serve beer and wine regardless of if the tables are rearranged. They already have an approved site plan that's in existence that they could operate on today. Now, Lori asked for some changes. They agreed to the changes. Someone appealed those changes. But the point is that has nothing to do with whether they can serve. They have the right to serve beer and wine. That's already been approved by the state. And we can only deny it after we review the site plan. Even if we deny the appeal or accept it, then they have a liquor license and they can start serving. If you alter what Lori and they suggested, they still have a restaurant and they still have a liquor license and they can proceed. So there's really no interference between the two issues. It's not as if you can deny the site plan because they already have a site plan. It's just Lori's preference that they alter it a little bit, which they did. So we don't have a brand new site plan application. They already have a site plan for a restaurant there. So that issue really is not an issue for you. The state has already approved it, and you could deny it tonight or in the future if he's a bad actor or if this is a bad location for a liquor license because of past reasons why there should never be a liquor license there. If there were stabbing every week going on at that location, you could argue that that is a dangerous location. We shouldn't add alcohol to it. But there's no evidence that's been presented in the record that that location is any different than any other location that serves liquor in Corrales. Therefore, that's not an issue. So I don't think there's actually an issue before you about timing.
Okay.
Councilor Burkett.
We'll take out the word timing on it. I'm just wondering about the next time we have this come for us on June the 2nd. I don't know if we're going to be able to bring back what we've talked about here because maybe say, we've already talked about that, so we can't talk about it anymore. This is the only chance to have a vote on those particular issues, notwithstanding what you just brought forth now.
Yes, so the only thing before you is the liquor license.
Councilor Burkett.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I think we will have a chance to talk about many of the issues that we've talked about tonight that are site development issues. We will not be able to talk again about liquor license issues, which are, is he too close to a church? Is he too close to a school? Is he a felon that shouldn't have a liquor license? Or has he been a bad actor in the past? Other than that, this should be the easiest meeting we have all year, because if we don't check one of those 4 boxes, we don't have any grounds to stand on to deny a liquor license. So site development, I think it'll be a very different conversation. There'll be a lot more nuance to it. There's no nuance to this. This is checking boxes. Like, we could have been replaced with a checklist tonight, and somehow we've turned this into an hour and 10 minutes. So I will make a motion. We approve the liquor license.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Councilor Murray.
I'm just going to reiterate what Councilor Burkett has said, and I do have empathy for the people who showed up tonight. But the only issue is the liquor license, whether the applicant has complied with state regulations. If he falls within our purview, it's our job to look at just the liquor license, not the site development plan. And consequently, I cannot see anything that would prevent us from denying this license. Just like Councilor Burkett said, if we did, we would be in, I think, another lawsuit, and they would probably strike down whatever happened to here tonight. But I think in terms of liquor license application, we were pretty restricted to what we can look at. I mean, it's strictly the liquor license. That is it. Does his building footprint comply? Apparently it does. And only that footprint that was presented tonight is the only thing that we can approve. So if he's going to change that footprint, he's going to have to come back with the modification. But as it is now, I agree with Councilor Burkett. This should have been a slam dunk. And I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but we're kind of just limited to what we can look at. And I agree with the attorney that the site development plan, liquor license, completely separate issues. We'll see what happens on June 2nd.
Any other discussion by council? This isn't a roll call vote, is it?
I would do a roll call vote, yes.
Okay, well, we'll do a roll call vote. So the motion has been made to approve the liquor license for Mr. Hobbs. Councilor Mira, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilor Woolman?
Aye.
Councilor Knight?
Yes.
Councilor Burkett?
Yes.
Councilor Murray?
Yes.
Motion carries. So the business
Mayor.
part of the meeting is over. We can talk later if you want, but
Yes,
Councilor.
I just wanted to make a comment if I could,
Sure.
outside the liquor license issue. About 2 years ago, I was on a panel, Leadership New Mexico. Also, the panel was Greg Hall, mayor of Rio Rancho. Someone asked the mayor how many more car washes they could be expected in Rio Rancho. His response raises a question applicable to tonight. He answered, as long as the business meets all the criteria from planning and zoning, the city will issue a business license. The type of business doesn't matter, and implied that the city can't pick and choose. So the question is, can this governing body determine, despite meeting all other hurdles, that a business is not in the best interest of the community? It may be because it is not in harmony with the comprehensive plan, that it will increase traffic, noise, parking problems, etc. Well, this is before us is a liquor license approval. The implications for another business similar to many others in Corrales is important to consider in a broader context. Unfortunately, for many in this audience, there have been many liquor establishments that came before tonight's discussion. So the overall question is, do we have a right to determine what kind of businesses and what kind of community we're going to have going forward? In other words, someone asked the question earlier, is there any limit on the number of liquor licenses that can be issued for a community or for a radius or for a 1.2 mile stretch of property? We know that we can do that for cannabis. There are laws, 300 feet, et cetera. But other than the church and school issue, do we have any control over what businesses can open?
And I really want to take this up at a hearing when it's on the agenda as a discussion item.
Yeah.
Because this hasn't been noticed for the community yet. But the quick answer is, it depends. So further discussion.
Logan is a good attorney.
Okay. Anyway, agenda items are complete, so meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for coming.
Well,